Oh, that smells good. The burning risotto in the bottom of the pan that I was just terrified about smells so good. Yeah, you know, once we're making our way back to the cabin, I'm realizing, you know, I need to make some sort of stock. I've got some arborio rice and I really want to make risotto. So I figure once I get the stock going, you know, I can kind of work on everything else. I want to sear my grouse breast first to get a nice, really dark color on them, because that's going to not only provide flavor into the bottom of that pan that I'm cooking the risotto, but it's going to provide some nice color and texture. Right after we get those grouse breasts out, I'm going to get the shallots in the pan and I'm going to start sweating those shallots. Once those shallots have become a little bit soft and translucent, then we're going to add the rice and make sure that there's enough of this roasted garlic oil that I used. I want to make sure that I'm coating each of the grains in rice in that oil, and we're toasting it a little bit. So you can kind of smell that nuttiness of the rice once you're getting it toasted enough. Once we get that rice toasted, we're going to deglaze that with a little bit of white wine. And once that white wine has reduced most of the way down, we're going to add our first couple ladles of vegetable stock. My stock has to be hot because I don't want it to cool down the pan. I add enough to kind of make the rice float a little bit. Every time that it starts to reduce and the vegetable stock starts to almost disappear, we're going to add 1 to 2 ladles more while stirring it as often as we can. So I'm just adding stock as I see that the pan starts to dry out, and as I'm stirring it around and it's absorbing into the rice. I'll add a little bit more stock. You don't want to dump the whole thing of stock. It's all about cooking it low and slow. You know, while that's simmering away, I had some mushrooms that I had pre-cut up, some of the winter chanterelles and some of the lobsters. And I wanted to get those in the cast iron to get a really nice dark sear on them if I could. And then to finish off this risotto, you know, we've gone through all the stock, everything's almost done. I'm going to add 1 more ladle of stock, and you can see it's starting to become creamier. You can take a taste, and you know, if it's not too crunchy, you want it to be al dente, but you don't want it to be mush. And I'm adding some of these cherry tomatoes right into the mushroom mix, simply because I want them to blister and let a little bit of their juice out, but then I'd like to keep some whole, so when I add them to the risotto, they kind of do that as well. So I'm just using some of the grouse here to scrape up any little bits that might have been stuck to the bottom of this pan. Really want to incorporate that flavor into the risotto. So now that it's almost all the way done cooking, the rice is still a little al dente. I've added some caramelized onions to incorporate a little sweetness. I think that's going to go really well with the mushrooms and the grouse over there. So once we combine everything together, you know, we're going to add half of the mushrooms into this. I'm going to have the grouse on the side because I'd like to keep that present on top. Then we're going to add the matsutake, just a few pieces on each. So you get a bite of it, but it doesn't become the full dish. It's just a complementary flavor in that dish. And then just top it with a little bit of flake salt and some shaved cheese, and you know, keep it simple. It seems like a complicated dish, but really it's just some rice with a little bit of onions and mushrooms and some grouse.
It is so good.
That's just unreal, isn't it?